he would have dealt with, or I mean, many of them would still be in place, but then you've also got this added perspective of the athlete that,
Sure.
and the untouchableness at the same time, the very touchableness of the athletic perspective. So let me pull the articles up specifically. So one of the things that we don't have on camera yet is you guys talking a little bit about Old South Week. Is this you?
No, it's Jay Johnson.
Oh. So Old South Week had been on. We talked about it a little bit outside, but was one of the things that your resolution was trying to. Put a stop to racist organizations and the racist activities that were, the matter concerning the Kappa Alpha order has been referred to the Dean of Students.
Yeah, this was, I'm sure you have that here.
Oh, yes.
You have that here, but that was the 67.
See,
and I didn't get the chance to see the 68 or 9 or anything for some reason. I don't know what was going on, but they did start publishing. I'm sure, but that was on Kappa Alpha and et cetera there. And so, like I said, the time that they had that they would have put in that book, they had evidently, for some rhyme or reason, toned it down some. Dr. King hadn't been killed or anything. This was just early on. So I didn't see them parade through campus with the black face, chains and whatever around people that were wearing black face, and I was aware of it, and then we just monitored where they had the gathering at that time. See, so they had evidently backed off from doing so or toned it down. Yes, toned it down, because that would have certainly been incendiary, very incendiary. Like I said, that predated Assad and Dr. King's death, of course.
Yeah, and the organization's been around a long time. What was your experiences with Old South Week?
Well, I thought it was, I don't know if it's part of homecoming or what, but that wagon they still had with some tires, I never forget it had car tires or rubber tires on the wagon. So, but I don't remember seeing a black face, the back face.
Where would they? What was the wagon have the flag on it?
Yeah, it had an X, and I mean it would ride down. I thought down where the Sonnet was. I'm not sure what the street.
Well, they would have a parade that would start like downtown, come through, because the ET band would be part of it. And I'm trying to recollect seeing.
When was that week? Chronologically, I can't think of when it was.
When was Old South Week?
It ended in '73.
No, but I'm sorry. What time of the year?
Month there?
No, was it the fall?
It was spring.
Oh.
It was spring because it was in the same section as when we found the MLK stuff.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah. Because they were seceding right around the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. Okay. So yeah. So as I understand it, the Old South Week continued for a bit, but off campus was the way that they did it. So you were probably maybe seeing the parade around.
Yeah. And I thought that was campus. I thought that part was campus for. The KA house looked like the back of it was behind, it was an insurance company right on the corner. You used to get these awards, I can't think of his name. You used to give, Player of the Week award or whatever. Then they give you $7 check or something. Sinclair, some kind of Sinclair, or right at the girls' gym. It's right on the corner from the girls' gym. I can't remember where it was.
Oh yeah, that was an insurance. It was right on campus.
Right on the campus there.
Okay.
Well, again, see, there's that difference. I've been an athlete. And what have you, so therefore, but I was aware of many of the problems that were going on with the athletes, certainly, and because they would always serviceably would be discussing them, but he was right in that when he got here.
Well, we had no idea that Joe had elevated that high to the president's level.
Really?
Because we just thought it was dealing with the knuckleheads in the athletic department, saying that, well, you can't major in math and play football, you got to be a PE major. And we never do it that way. It's two people from Dallas, Madison. One's a black, the other's a Negro. And, this kind of...
What was the difference?
Well, as Coach said, he says, well, I'm black. well, a Negro, you're in a boat rowing and you all going the same way, so no problems. But if it's a black in the boat with you, he wants to pull over to the side and go to the bank, he's gonna go the other way, and black power signs and say it loud, I'm black and proud. And I said, are you serious, Coach? And it's like, this was a perception.
Well, you know, and my comment on that is that I don't care where you are, who you're, this country doesn't make a difference, and certainly here. In order for the status quo to be maintained and continue to any less or greater degree, I love that combination there. It has to be some manipulation going on, and so you don't keep yesterday moving forward without someone taking the steps to carry on. I think Jennifer was sharing a little earlier about something we were sitting that yeah. So those folks were doing that, and that's how racism, that's how hatred and bitterness and culture is moved to the future generations. Somebody has to maintain that, and there is the necessity of manipulation along the way. So they've been doing that, you know, defining blacks versus Negroes, and joking about the fact, oh well, y'all are fast, y'all will be able to outrun the harassment and what the case. But that was very serious.
Have you ever heard anything like that? That like, you're fast, you should be able to outrun them.
Well, I like the way you put it. I mean, you know,
well, it was something you
we didn't need to be taped or you could outrun the bricks being thrown at you.
Yeah.
And then you know you're in the back of a pickup truck.
The myth of individualism, that is really interesting, what was your experience with the other black athletes? Were there, I guess there were some that were politically involved in ways that were outside of the team, that you guys were experiencing some certain specific kinds of racism, I guess, that was directed in many cases from the coach?
Well, you know, we were just tough. We just want to play football. So I didn't see it as racism then. I mean, being called the word nigga, yeah, that was racism. You got your ass whooped. You got ass whooping coming, you know. So, but it was, the main thing is trying to make to the pros. You know, dodge the Vietnam War, you know, stay in school, and try to get drafted. So, oh, don't make any waves. You don't make any waves, you know. And then I think a couple of times they would just say, one guy was from Commerce, Larry Waters. I don't know Larry Waters. And he was a tribe, you know, I guess a tribe, which I was too. But finally, we just sacked it up and said, well, listen, they're not going to treat me this way. I'm from East Dallas. I said, you know, y'all don't know who you're messing with. Coaches, it don't matter who you are, including Jesse Hawthorne. He was the athletic director, and I think he was the main catalyst there for that. So. But I wasn't dependent on their scholarship. I came on a math scholarship, so they didn't have that rope or that tug on me to say, well, we're going to cut your books off or whatever.
Except when they started to say you can't major, got
oh,
major
yeah,
PE,
yeah.
You would take that,
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. The specific details of the grievances of the Declaration of Rights included also some requests, and you were very clear to say that these are not demands. These are things that need to be attended to through the proper channels. And so, why was courses in African American history and in literature and in culture such an important part of the Declaration of Rights?
Well, it was germane to the Declaration of Rights because, I mean, when it comes to identity, when it comes to self-pride or racial pride or university pride, I'm proud to be part of East Texas State University family, Texas A&M family, you know, etc. So there wasn't a lot of knowledge. There weren't courses that we could take where we could enhance our self-pride and dignity and some other kind of things. So it just wasn't there. I was fortunate leaving Mineola, even though it was segregated, that at 9th grade we were required to take a, quote, Negro history class. We were required to do so. That was just the way it was done, and we didn't have what Mineola High School had, which was just across the tracks from us there, but we had teachers that were that were obviously brilliant and were able to see the future. One of the best for us. They gave tirelessly of their personal means and sacrificing family and whatever the case is. And so certainly, if we're here and this is a university, then part of that universal approach to educating and preparing students should have included some reference.
That's right.
To the African American experience in all of this, whether it's literature, history, English, whatsoever, science. You know, we made these contributions and whatever, so it would just be good to see that. And then you, like a sigh of relief, you know, you're comfortable, you sit there, and versus someone telling you that you can't fly an airplane. Yeah, I remember sitting in some classes I was sharing earlier. I would be the only black in some other, so I was in, I forget exactly what it was, it may have been a sociology or psychology class. And so I was the only black in there, so they discussion about why there were no black pilots came up among other discussions over a period of time. And so the professor and the students were discussing, and some student was explaining the scientific rationale or reason for why there are not any black pilots. And so he said, well, the reason that there aren't any black pilots is, well, blacks can't handle high altitudes. And said that they were flying a jet or an airplane, said once they reached a certain altitude, they would black out. You know, they would pass out, you know, and stuff, and that's why there are no black pilots, you know, and you know, so it was just a lot of that went on, and I would be angered and angry, and I would always want to strike back and whatever, and defend, come to the defense of my folks, to be a true defender of the faith, but I wouldn't. So something kept telling me, said don't overextend yourself. That wasn't the way it came then. Don't overextend yourself. Whatever that teacher, that professor is teaching in this classroom, whatever he's teaching those white students, he has to teach you. You focus on that, like keeping your eyes on the prize.
That's right.
So like that. So I sat there and just yeah, you know, and angered, and you know, but a lot of times I just held my peace.
Did you ever hear about the poll tax? You ever heard of a poll tax?
Oh yes, I'm familiar with it.
And you know, it was another device to keep blacks from voting. You know, I think it was like 27 cents a year or something. But
yeah, I remember when it was $1.50.
Maybe
my parents were supposed to pay.
Yeah, but they had
late 50s,
a series
early
of tests that you had to pass and pay that test.
Those were the literacy. You had the literacy test, the poll tax, the grandfather clause, and there may be one other that all were used to disenfranchise blacks. Yes.
Then there were questions you couldn't answer, right?
Yeah, like one was how many bubbles a bar of soap makes or something. They tell me. I mean, it's just really just ludicrous.
In the Dallas schools, Mr. Page, did you have also African American history literature?
Oh yeah. In fact, I still remember a poem I had to recite of Dory Miller. He was from Waco, Texas, and you know, we were very proud of our heritage. You know, and the stoplight was invented by a black man. You know,
And you knew
red
this
light.
growing up.
Oh yeah, we had to know that. So
There's, Daryl Peace, who also went to Dallas schools, said that and I've spoken to other, mainly baby boomers who would have gone to school during segregation, who said that their teachers were perpetually preparing them for an integrated world. They knew that that was a key goal of the education that they were getting.
Well, and I think they were effective at that, and they wouldn't specifically indicate preparing us for an integrated world, because like when I finished in high school in '65, they desegregated the schools at Mineola, and I think they took over the first two grades, seniors and juniors, and what have you. And then some of those that followed me, like my younger brothers and sisters, they were able to get more classes and opportunities at Mineola High School in terms of things that we didn't have. But I think they were very effective at that, because like when I got here, immersed in this whiteness that I had never experienced or been exposed to, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me, you know, because they would always tell us, want you to be the very best that you can be, and you can do anything you set your mind to, you know, and so I had a lot of pride and whatever my community, even though many of the high schools across the street, I still think that thought we had the prettiest girls, we were the smartest, we were smart. I wanted to participate in every UIL activity that I could, that time allowed for, you know, and then so when I got here, so it wasn't anything about running for office as a junior, and so I said, well, I'll give it a try. I know there were going to be very many blacks that could vote for me, but something was guiding, and so I got elected, you know, and you know, this kind of thing. So I think they did a very effective job of preparing us in general, and so making the move to a white-dominated world and society. What the case is, I found that those kids weren't so much more smarter than I, or we, you know, and I always thought that. You know, and with everything that they had, they certainly should have been.
Well, you know, also the deal, it's like we lost something by immigration. The black school, the black, you know, it took a village to raise a child, and those teachers cared. I mean, if you did something in school, you'd get a butt whooping before you got home, on the way home, because the neighbor heard about it. You know, I mean, I'm serious. That's the truth.
Yeah, I've heard
that if you did something and word got to the neighbor before you got home, you'd get a lick before you got to your house.
Yeah.
You knew what was waiting on you.
Yeah, well, my school was just down the street. My house was just down the street on the same side that the school was on, maybe a block and a half, and so the principal could just pass by and just stop and visit. And in other cases, so that was an inducement to dissuade me from overacting, being whatever character I felt I wanted to be sometimes during the course of the day. But yeah, and when integration came, I was trying to think. I wrote something someplace. It was kind of a take from Booker T. Washington talking about that we can be in this country. We can be symbolic of the hand here. We can have all these different ethnic groups and situations, rich, poor, whatever, and we can remain like this. But then when it's necessary, then we come together as one, and then you still maintain your distinction. Of course, I get a discussion about the melting pot, and, stew, or whatever you want to call it, you know, and et cetera. So, but yeah, when we lost our schools in integration, I don't care where you are, if there are those out there who don't want to admit to that, it wasn't like we're going to integrate. We'll put so many kids there and put so many kids there. They closed our schools and said go across the track, and they immersed us into white society and the way of life. And so, but when they took away our schools, that tore at the very heart and essence of our being. Because like people that didn't even have kids, they would come and support football and basketball and plays that we had and things like that. And then so the school and the church were the heart and the brain of the African American community, all communities, but specifically ours. So when we had that, when that left, that was it. It was just like wandering aimlessly again, you know.
And you know, to showcase the talent in the black neighborhoods, we had talent shows in the schools, you know, and then the gospel singers would oftentimes cross over because they would sing Sunday morning in church, which, you know, don't let mama get you singing those blues out there Saturday night, you know. But so they had a talent show that was kind of, I think we had one every Friday in the gym. A talent show, you know, you get up, you could dance or sing, whatever you could do.
What'd you do?
I did nothing. I laughed and cracked jokes. No, that wasn't my talent, but it was just an escape, I guess, because I didn't know we were poor, you know, because we had 6 kids in the family, and it's like, we always had fun. If, you know, if you got one pair of shoes for Christmas, I mean, it was something new, and it was a love, I guess, that made the difference, you know.
Yeah, you know, and if I could just tailgate on that a little bit, in terms of what Alfred was saying, we didn't do the talent shows so much. For Minneola is located there. It's just 52 miles south and east, I guess, of Commerce here. But at one time, there were 5 predominantly black colleges within a 68-mile radius of Minneola. The farthest away being Marshall, where Wiley and Bishop College were at one time. This was before Bishop College moved to Dallas. But at one time there were 2 black colleges in Tyler. As a matter of fact, there were 6 because there was this community junior college at Turtle that's still there. Southwest Christian College was there. But anyway, so it was 6. I apologize to those folks. There were 2 black colleges at Tyler, Texas College, and Texas College and Butler College, and then that was 25 miles south of Mineola, and then 18 miles due east on US 80, like you're heading towards Marshall, was Jarvis Christian College. That's 3, and then you come back to Turl, 46 miles west. That was Southwest Christian, and then at that time, Wiley and Bishop were both at Marshall. So I think that's either 5 or 6. So all we thought about was the opportunity to finish high school and to go off, and then we have this favorite son, a gentleman named Willie Brown, who was Speaker of the California State Assembly and very powerful black in California, and still is, and he graduated from over there. So our teachers and our parents fed us Willie Brown cookies often. But the case says, stay focused and go so you be like Willie Brown. He's an attorney out in California.
He's the mayor.
Well, he became, well, after he was, because of term limitations, he was removed from the Senate, as Speaker of the California State Assembly, and stuff, because of term limitations. And then he was from San Francisco, so he ran for mayor and got elected there and served there for 8 years. I think that the gentleman that's the mayor now succeeded him, etc. But we have those positive forces and stuff like that, and so I've got to make it. I can make it. I can do it, and whatever situation, So that was a driving force.
Absolutely. Did you attend integrated schools before you came here?
Yeah, I transferred from SMU, but high school wise, no. From grade school to junior high. Well, we didn't have middle school. We said elementary, junior high, high school.
Right.
So I started like at Dunbar in heart of Dallas, East Dallas. Then I had to walk, like I tell you, probably about 5 miles to John Henry Brown, which is over by Grand and Oakland Avenue. I guess it's Martin Luther King and Malcolm X now.
Passed any white schools on your
Oh
walk?
yeah, because it was like we had the Jewish community. And funny thing, we walked by those schools not knowing that they were supposed to be teaching the same thing we would learn, but they wasn't, or they had a facade up, so to speak. And then when integration came in, I guess busing to achieve racial equality, they called it.
Racial balance.
Balance. They made my high school a middle school, and we won the state championship a couple of years. And like I said, we had the the academic knowledge to go anywhere in the United States. And it was like, I transferred from SMU to get away from Mom and them, and that was at home, so to speak, here in Dallas, to, like Joe said, to make somebody yourself, It was a pride thing, and it's funny, it's the difference between integration and desegregation. There's a difference between those two words, To desegregate, is to set apart a thing, and to integrate is to mix, so to speak. Well, they desegregated, but they didn't integrate because of the fact, like I said, closing schools, they're doing them now, closing schools, busing, and it's something about a neighborhood school. Like Joe said, your principal knows, they know who was cutting up and who was going up.
Right. There's some legal scholars who've been making the argument for maybe about 20 years who say that we should have pushed on the equal a lot more than pushing against the separate.
Well, see, but that's one of the frailties that led to white society, or whites losing total control. In 1896 with Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal. And then 50-some years later, in 1954, 53 or 4 years, however long it was, from 96 to 54, so the Supreme Court is faced with this matter again about separate but equal. And so, and the essence of it was that it's okay with Plessy versus Ferguson to have separate facilities. For the race, to keep the races separated, but they should be equal. So 53 years later, this hadn't taken place, and then it took the Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka to really bring that to the forefront. And so in this instance, you know, you've had time to do this. Constitutionally, you know, it's time for a change, and society hadn't changed that much in 50 some odd years, for sure. You know, but that's what happened with that. So if they had made Mineola High School and McFarland High School at Mineola equal, well then I probably would have studied medicine, because I was good in math and science in school, and I wanted to study medicine. And so I was over on the cutting edge there as far as integration was concerned, the desegregation, as you so well put it and defined it, that I started writing to some of the schools about to get pre-med catalog information. I got some of that stuff back from some of those booklets back, and I saw so many science and math courses that I'd never ever heard of in my life. And I said, I can't be a doctor. So right then and there, and then the fall of '64, I was we going to Mineola High School. We were still playing football beyond the time that Mineola High School was playing. So we had to go get some football equipment. We could always get football equipment. You know, when the problem with that, books may have been all scratched through by the white students when they gave them to us, but our teachers made allotment for that too. They taught us theory and philosophy and stuff, so we could handle the practical part of it. But anyway, so we were going over to Mineola High School, and we was in the gym, and so I decided just to fall back from my coach and 3 or 4 other guys. And so I went through this door, and this big huge door. I walked into the Mineola High School science laboratory, and so when I got there, I saw these cubicles about like this, probably not as long, where 4 students sat. There was a wash basin, a Bunsen burner, a microscope, and what the case is, and there were several of those cubicles.
And everything worked.
Everything worked. But at McFarland, we had a table probably, maybe not quite as wide, but maybe as long. We had a wash basin, a Bunsen burner, 2 microscopes. One worked perfectly and the other one didn't. But by the time we were going trying to look through, the class period was over, and then and whatever. So that angered me. I was infuriated, you know, at this point in time. I said, but look at this, you know, and I recognized that then in high school and stuff. So maybe a physician, but Dr. Bryant, who's in some of the pictures and things like that, he was able to go to Mineola High School the fall of '65 as they desegregated and stuff like that to take. They let him load up on a lot of math and science classes that we didn't have, and so he came on to East Texas State, finished, and then went on and got his medical degree and stuff just a year behind me. But that was enough to tell me that I couldn't be. I was afraid of that. It frightened me. You know, I didn't think about physics and algebra 3 and trigonometry. And, you know, I'm just saying, you know, hypothetically. And so I can't be a doctor.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, man, that took me way back, because this particular professor I had would give us, he'd just get on the blackboard and start writing, you know, no discussion, and the students were following him, you know, and hey, when time for a test come, I put, hey, I'm not prepared for my high school education to deal with this.
You wrote that on the test?
Yeah, you didn't teach nothing. You didn't teach a thing in this class, you know, till next Thursday. You know, it was Tuesday, Thursday was a 3 hour and a half for and it was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Well, see me after class. And after class, you got a lot of students waiting out here and stuff, and it's like, but it was just permeated in there that you're not supposed to be nothing. Your parents wasn't nothing. You're not going to be anything, but they messed with the wrong one, baby, because we had some training. We had some training, you hear me? Because when my math teacher, his name was Muckleroy, Mr. Muckleroy, and I think he had a daughter named Marsha. But he said, that's one of those hair-pulling problems. He was kind of balling the top. Mr. McElroy, you had a lot of hair-pulling problems. Boy, you think you're funny, don't you? It's good for you to be smart, but don't be funny. But it was just, you know, it was laughter there, but they were serious. Our teachers were serious. Our principal.
I just opened my book here, and it's a few things in there, but I wanted to share this, what he's saying, and then my upbringing and raising and what the case is and what had me focused. And I wrote this piece. It says, knowing full well the odds weighed heavily against me. I, a featherweight, took on life, super heavyweight, and the bout began. I was, am being, and will be knocked down many times. I counted 1,000 before they onset amnesia, But 1,000 times I hit the floor, and 1,000 times I got up. Each time I much improved from the experience. So you too, being human, being but human, should get up again and again and again, and then I just kind of go. And that was that's so you're going to get knocked down.
That's good.
And you know, many times in life, you know, and so I mean, who am I or you to take on life? You know, we just little featherweights.
That's right.
You know, but in life it's just
That's
super
right.
heavyweight. You know what's going to happen. You're going to get annihilated. But you know, when it knocks you down, you get up. You get up, and you should be much improved from each experience that you've gone through. And so they didn't put it that way, but that enabled me to write that. Sometimes, you know, sometimes later, you know, and for that I'm thankful. And there were many things that happened here that I was thankful for. I wasn't thankful for the fear of did I share regarding the FBI telling my mother that I was a Black Panther?
We haven't gotten this on camera.
Oh,
I'd love to
really?
get that on camera, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, you'll have to sort it out.
We
was
will.
Just, okay.
We will, we got
okay.
it.
Yes, after they had threatened my life and had brought me back to campus, so I had asked Dr. Bryant to call my mother and get in touch with a prominent Methodist minister at home, or Mr. White, who was our county agricultural agent. They had Black agricultural agents and white agricultural agents. And, the Blacks worked through Prairie View, A&M, and what have you, and the whites came out of big A&M at College Station. But anyway, and so tell him that my life had been threatened to get the FBI, somebody here. And so he did, and so Mr. White, who had a lot of contact in Paris, I guess, but the FBI folks didn't come from Dallas, they came from Paris, Texas. And so anyway, so when they brought me back to campus, before I was able to see the students, I was meeting in the Dr. Kohler's office or somebody's office in the administration building, appertaining to what my life been threatened. So the FBI kept telling me, he said, well, you're pretty important on this campus. Said, it's probably one of your own kids that was jealous of you, that probably threatened your life, and their big focus was on who was militant and what the case is. And I asked them, what do you mean militant, and this kind of thing. So we were just having these exchanges and stuff. So anyways, I visited with them for probably an hour or so, and then I think I went out and first started talking with some of the students. But anyway, during the course of these events, at some point in time, the FBI called my mother back in Manila and told her that the reason that my life had been threatened was because I was a Black Panther. And of course, that's that old dirty work that they were doing to undermine and destroy.
Misinformation.
And spreading misinformation. Anyway, so that frightened my mother half to death, and many people in the community, they wanted me not to even come back up here. And probably which would be the technique, you divide or you cut the head off, and then you got my deal. But I don't know if something had happened with somebody not playing that role of kind of intermediary or whatever, that there's no telling what would have happened, because we were prepared and preparing to deal with the situation based on Dr. Halliday's response, and we had people set to if not destroy, to disable the university's computer system, and these people that were going to do that knew exactly what to do. They were on the inside working with this. These were Black students, and then the other situation after the meeting, I think everybody had sensed that, well, you've dealt with this, and I don't think you're really being serious. So I had this one student to come to me, and he was shaking and trembling, and he said, Joe, he said, they're not taking us serious. They're not taking us serious. He said, please, Joe, said, can we set some fires all around campus? I said, no, Ruben, you can't do that. And he said, not big fires, Joe. He said, not big fires, Joe, just little fires. But he was shaking and trembling. And if I had said yes, then he would have done it. But I'm thinking, you set some little bitty fires, they're going to turn into big fires.
Yeah.
And then we'd also been advised by some of our campus advisors and snitches or whatever that knew what was going on, that they had stockpiled weapons and tear gas and what the case of the security office was kind of back this way a little bit. It was like a house or something.
House right there by G Lake.
But was it?
Yeah,
was
it
it?
was a house.
Yeah, so they had stockpiled tear gas and weapons, and for us in case we rioted and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, I said, I don't want to get anybody killed. I want to try to make some progress, stuff like that. But Dr. Holliday, he's coming across as genuine, but whatever. But anyways, so I told Ruben, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. He said, please, Joe, please. Please, he begged me, trembling and shaking, that just some little bitty fires, just all around campus, so they'll see that we're serious and whatever. So when I look back, I thank God that something was keeping me from just saying the hell with it.
Because you were mad too.
Oh yes, yes, everybody was mad. Everybody was mad. Yeah.
They killed Medgar Evers in his driveway, and that was
mad.
It was just.
And then what the FBI attempted to do, and whatever the case is, because I was always conscious when I was meeting with Dr. Halliday, because there was nobody else there. It wasn't a team, a group of us. It was Joe Tave and D. Whitney Halliday or John Colas, and I never wanted the black students to ever think that I was up there someplace and I was selling them out.
Yeah.
And so that was a
His
constant.
soul was conviction.
Yeah, on that, and stuff like that. And so, but then I said, well, here's how you're responding to us, and considering the approach that we used, and whatever. So, but anyway, but yeah, that situation happened there. And that the FBI and et cetera, and then I was sharing with Beth a little earlier, Dr. Shannon, that. It was mostly young ladies that were there. And I don't know if they were ready to do anything. Anything. And they didn't care. And you can look at the march and then just the people that assemble there, you see mostly young African American young ladies. And there's a lady friend of mine, Shirley Daniels, she's on this picture. And so every place she goes in Dallas, Joe Tave's name's coming. So, Joe's changed East Texas over there. We were ready to tear that place up, and she just be going, something going, dog, Shirley.
The drama.
I know. I knew you were committed, et cetera. But again, I'm laughing now. It wasn't a laughing matter.
But God had us in His plan, because I told Joe, man, I mean, he didn't go there to be elected for to be an asset.
I had a test the next day.
And it's just.
And you can't have known too that what you were doing was going to make any difference. I mean, not everybody's
Yes, that's
40 years
right.
later, we look back and,
Yeah, 40 years later, that's a good observation there. And so sometimes, you commit and you do, and sometimes there are immediate results that you can see. And we were able to, because within some period of time, this is something I chuckled about. I was sharing with Dr. Shannon earlier, is that so when Dr. Dave Talbot came, Dr. Halliday had known Dr. Talbot over at Texas. I'm sorry, excuse me, I don't want to insult the good Arkansas people at Arkansas A&M and stuff. And so he brought him here and as a first faculty person, and so I just assumed, and most of us assumed, that since Dr. Halliday brought him here, that he was Uncle Tom. Well, I never wanted the kids to think I was Uncle Tom, but I applied that to Dr. Dave Talbot and stuff like that. So I guess for a couple of weeks or so, I had to walk past him, and whatever, and I wouldn't speak to him. Yeah. And stuff. And so he would speak, and I just keep going. I said, oh, no, you're not the one. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so one day, Callie and I were walking someplace, and so I ignored him. I attempted to walk past him. Yeah. He reached out barefoot and grabbed me and pulled me over and said, Mr. Tave, he was from Guyana. He had that accent. Yeah. Mr. Tave, I need to speak with you. And I said, excuse my language. I said, anyway, I said, damn. That's a euphemism, please believe me. I said, damn. I said to myself, hell, he's crazy. He said, let me tell you something. He said, I admit, whatever, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and what the black students did, what the case is. That's the reason I'm here. I admit to that. He said, well, let me tell you one thing. I don't owe you all a damn thing. So that, you know, and I'm sure. I mean,
6'8".
Yeah, you know, and I mean, what was I going to say? You know, this man grabbed me and confronted me like that, you know, and then my girlfriend was there with me too. Oh, but anyway, so I look back and laughed on that, and he wanted me to put that in his some memoirs and things, but I never got it to him before he passed.
Wow.
And whatever. But yeah, I mean that he got me on the right track there. We became good friends after that.
I believe it.
I'd like for you guys to talk a little bit more about the times and kind of the how one moves forward in those difficulties. Were you in high school, Mr. Page, when MLK was assassinated? Still?
Yeah, I graduated in May of '68. I think he got killed in April.
April 4th.
Can you tell us about your how you heard about it and how the campus responded?
Well, I wasn't here at that time.
No, but
I
you
was
were at school.
in high school.
Your high school student.
I still graduated. I graduated May of '68, but it was like, you know, people were burning on the news that King got killed, and
Is that how you heard about it, through the news?
yeah, it was actually through the news because, you know, being in Dallas, you know, it's TV for everything. And funny thing, it was no, you know, it was burning like in Chicago, burning like in Atlanta, the big cities burning, and Dallas didn't burn. You know, we had some Uncle Toms in Dallas, I think, that kind of prevailed, and some Aunt Sally's that kind of quelled us. And it was, you know, I mean, like Joe said, I mean, we were mad. We, you know, anything, I don't, you know, it's just, it touches you because of the fact he was like John Carlos later on. You know, John stood up for us. You know, nobody else would. Martin Luther King stood up for us, nobody else would. Medgar Evers, you know. And it's like, well, just shoot him like an animal, and that'll kill the dream. You can kill the dreamer, but not the dream. You know,
Yeah, it's a dream.
That's the dream. Yeah, so. But I came here with a vengeance, you know. It's like I wanted to play football. I wasn't going to Vietnam, you know. I want to finish school. I want to get a job. I want to play pro ball. You know, you just had some goals that immediate goals, and you had some long-term goals.
But you're not going to lose. They're not going to take your respect from you while
They're
you're
gonna
doing
take
that.
it. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. So I think we're gonna have to follow up some more. I think. Oh, we're not. Okay. Okay, Kelly, what you got? I'm watching some folks fading a little bit.
Yeah, I need my medication.
Oh, wait, no, I have something for you. Have a
Okay, thank you.
seat. Sit down.
I was gonna get do I need my dossier?
You just need